Hello guys, Paul here. Welcome to another RD Show special edition. This time we are talking to Stefano Casillo and Marco Massarutto of Kunos about the upcoming Assetto Corsa Competizione game that's coming to Steam Early Access later this year. I'm going to jump straight into it. ACC. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. I come from Sheffield. It's too difficult. Bit of a bold decision from you guys to move away from an in-house engine that you use for Assetto Corsa 1. You go into Unreal 4. Is that always been the plan, or have you cast around and looked at different engines for the new title?
Actually, no, it was the first engine that we tried. We did have a very small experience with Unity many years ago when we started actually, the very, when we really started to work on Assetto Corsa, the original one. And and in for Assetto Corsa Competizione, we had two possible roads to choose. One was keep doing the engine ourselves, and the other one is to identify another, some third-party engine. And we were lucky enough that Unreal was our first try, and it sort of worked straight away. It's also true that both me and Simone, we've been always trying these engines through these years, so we sort of knew already where we were going. But of course, you never know until you actually commit many months of work, and there could be some monster hiding behind the scenes, and you only discover it after 8 months that you're working. So luckily we didn't find the monster yet.
Yes.
hopefully
at this point
there.
we don't find it anymore.
Yeah.
So have you found it then a quite useful tool compared to AC1? So it was quite a user-friendly engine by all accounts, and obviously Unreal's brand new to yourselves and to all the developers. Has it been all right to work with up to now?
The programmers team don't really love it. I mean, our quality of life went a bit down. Yeah, let's put it this way. Of course, it's comparing with an engine that I wrote, and then with the guys that joined, it's just designed to do exactly what we need, with very fast iterations. And then now we have to work with this monster of an engine that does lots of stuff. And you change one line of code, and then you have to sit there waiting for 5 minutes for the thing to compile and see the result of your changes. So programmers, don't love it, but then you see the final result, and you think, well, it's worth the time that we're spending with it. I think the graphics team love it because they can express themselves much more compared to the engine that we had before. They can do a lot of stuff without even involving us in the programming team. So we are seeing the creativity of these guys really coming out, and so that's really the advantage of using an engine like that.
Cool. Okay. I mean, going back to AC1 for a moment, it's had a good run of development over the years. When did you sort of make the conscious decision to focus on a new title? And were it difficult juggling between AC1 development, end-of-life development, and then what's now become ACC?
I think it was more difficult from a public point of view because a part of the team moved to work on the new engine and the new game, but we really couldn't talk about it. Yeah. Although if you started to read between the lines, for example, the lines of the changelog in the latest update of Assetto Corsa, it was clear that something changed and there was a slowdown in the development of the new features. So new cars and new trucks kept coming, but new features sort of stopped. And so there were people that were sort of expecting it. But for us, at least for me, was quite difficult to, people. I have friends on Skype that are part also of the beta testing team, and they were saying, "What are you working on today?" And I was like, "Can't talk." Nothing. I'm playing guitar.
Yeah, it must have been
I don't know
quite
actually
difficult.
when we started, Marco. When we actually started
to work on it.
Yeah.
It was
to think about it, to finalize what it was going to be as a
second half of 16.
Yeah.
And then we move forward with the project, with the licensing part and so on. But last part of 2006. 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right, so it's been on the go for a while.
6 was Netcat Pro, so
it's Duke Nukem forever.
So, talking about obviously the company itself, you're in bed with 505 Games for the console side of things, and you've been bought out by Digital Bros recently. Has that helped you realise the deal with Blankpan? And would it have been possible without that level of investment from themselves?
No, actually the Blankpan project was already defined before to join our company with 505. When 505 asked us to share with them about our ideas on the long-term strategy, we proposed to them to get involved in the new project that was actually the Blankpan. And when we showed them what we were working on, they made a different proposal to get the company as well as the overall project, including the Blankpan game. But if 505 or any other investor would that be interested in getting involved in a Blankpan GT Series game, Stefano and I already were determined to fund the game at our side, as we did before, in the years before. Keeping the costs as low as possible, of course, but as we did for many years.
Okay, cool. And onto the team itself at Kunos. You've sort of indicated that there's a couple of new staff coming with various different levels of technical experience, and you are relatively small in comparison to sort of AAA companies such as the Turn 10 Forza and whatnot. Have you grown in size to accommodate this new title, the move to Unreal 4?
Yeah, well, not relatively. It's hugely smaller than any of our competitors. But when we defined the main aspect of the Blankpan game, we hired 4 new programmers to make sure that we can achieve the ambitions we have with the new game. We hired 1 senior programmer for the graphics and post-processing, 1 mechanical engineer for the physics, 1 dedicated programmer for UI and animations, and 1 for rating online system, that is Ken Stack, the guy behind the minor rating system, that is one of the most appreciated rating and ranking systems used for not only for Assetto Corsa but also for other games. And we are doing a good job. And of course, if we stay alone without 5, probably we would have hired not more than 2 guys, right, Stefano? And counting on the resources that 505 can put on this project, we can have even bigger ambitions.
Okay, cool. Right, talking about Blankpan itself, it's a rapidly growing GT series. I mean, we're getting sort of like 50 odd cars at Monza. It's really, over the last few years, grown considerably. What attracted you guys to the idea of getting a Blankpan license and replicating that in all its glory in the next AC game?
Well, each time we asked in the past to the community what they would like to see in Assetto Corsa. GT Racing was always on the top, just after the rain and the night conditions. And in the years, while the WC lost some interest because of Porsche and Audi left the championship 2 years ago, the GT series is growing up a lot, and today represents probably, at least for our point of view, the most complete racing series because it features sprint and endurance racing, of course, night racing, wet condition, the different classes of drivers, driver swap, all the kind of things that gamers and our community is asking us at least by 2 years now. So for us to be focused on the Blancpain GT series was a sort of natural consideration when we started to think about what is going on now with Assetto Corsa.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And I'm gonna have to think of a better way than just saying "cool" after every answer. So, with it being an officially licensed series product, which is something new for AC, obviously you had very many different manufacturers on board. Have they put any pressure on you to change the focus of the game, to simplify it, to make it appeal to a wider audience, or have you still got reasonable reign to realize whatever you want for ACC?
Well, when I met the SRO management in person, I saw a genuine enthusiasm on their side, not only for the project itself, but for the idea that the makers of Assetto Corsa were behind the Blancpain game. And when we showed them the first prototype of the game, they completely fallen in love. They always say that Formula One, MotoGP, and the rally, the WRC, they had their own official games, and they really wanted to have their official game as well. And that's it. They already knew about Assetto Corsa and its reputation, and they just asked for a game that can represent the Blancpain series exactly as it is, with the best possible level of accuracy. So they never asked us to change the DNA of our game, of the things that we do, in the way how we do that.
And also, I think even if they did, wouldn't be doing this game. So yeah, it wouldn't make any sense for us. You know, we consider the physical behavior of Assetto Corsa, the realism, the best feature that we have. So if for whatever reason we have to lose that, then it just doesn't make any sense for us to try to compete with bigger companies losing that particular feature. So we will be doing something else.
It's like when we announced the console version for AC1, that some people in the community start to say now they are going to ruin the game, they are going to make an arcade game and so on. But the point is that if you are going to make an arcade game, you don't need Assetto Corsa, because there are plenty of great racing games even without Assetto. So we had to make the difference where we can make the difference. So also in Assetto Corsa Competizione, we are going to bring forward our style and way to do things.
Yeah, and then if comes out that the physics sucks, is our fault. It's not anybody else's fault.
Right.
So we know it's an officially licensed Blancpain game. Why is it called ACC, Assetto Corsa Competizione?
The good pronouns. Almost good.
Not bad for me.
Well, the funny part is that when I proposed Stefano to include this question in the frequently asked question blog, he told me, "Oh, anyone is going to ask about that. It's a useless question." But actually, a lot of people did it. Well, Assetto Corsa isn't just a product; it's a brand today. It is a synonym of authenticity, realism, accuracy. And Assetto Corsa is us, is the people behind Assetto, the people who created it. So we want to confirm that also AC Competizione will keep the same DNA. And after all, when you sell your game to 1.5 million of people, of users that follow you, you are not going to change the brand you have created.
No, that's absolutely a fair point. We heard you mention that the Blancpain, the ACC, is just like the tip of the iceberg for what you've got planned. What does that mean in reality by saying tip of the iceberg?
Well, when I say that, I was trying to figure out how AC users can think about Assetto Corsa Competizione, because some people could believe that we take Assetto Corsa, we put in that the cars and the trucks of the blind pain, we repackage it with Night and Rain, and we sell it, and that's it. But instead, Competizione is a completely new product that has been designed not just to feature the GT series, but to create a completely immersive experience in terms of driving, in the gameplay, competition. And of course, we also consider AC Competizione as the first step on a long-term strategy. But anyway, it is a bit early to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. This is a question from the community. Is ACC more of a partnership between you and the Blancpain GT3 series, or is it a standard licensor agreement? If the former, can you explain how it came about and why you took up this particular challenge?
Well, at the beginning, it was intended to be a licensing agreement. But once we started to work together with SRO and we showed them the progress and also our approach to this project, it quickly became a genuine partnership. Me and Stefano took up this challenge because we like the challenges as well as the rest of the team. And also we considered that an official racing game was missing in the field since too long. And the BP series was the perfect spot to challenge also ourselves.
Yeah. Okay.
Considering that the Formula One is completely out of mind, not just in terms of cost, but also because considering all the rules about the licensing, the brands, and the fact that it is actually very, very expensive, you had to create a game for the masses, because otherwise there is no way that you can make it sustainable, not profitable, but sustainable.
Another question from the community. Many people expected AC1 to be coming to the end of its active development, which it obviously is. Is ACC in effect Assetto Corsa 2, or is it more of a prequel to what Assetto Corsa 2 could be?
Well, it's too early to say that. After 7 years, we moved from our previous engine to the new one, and from our 5-year-old son, AC1, to a new baby. So we need to proceed step by step before to take a decision about what Assetto Corsa 2 is going to be in the future.
And if there's going to be an Assetto Corsa 2, we don't know.
We don't know at the moment.
At the end, for us, the world ends with Assetto Corsa Competizione. So that's our target. That's what we will hit. Once we hit that, we will sit down again and think what to do next.
Yeah.
Of course, we're working in a way that we don't want to close any door now.
Yeah.
So what we're doing with the engine is, we are trying to make the engine generalistic enough. So it's not that it is an engine that can only do GT3s, right?
Yeah. So it's fair to say then that Unreal 4 is something that you guys are investing in the long term, rather than just a one shot for ACC, assuming it works out, of course.
I hope so. I mean, if we are in for the long term, it means that it worked well for us. So at the moment is great. We are very happy with it. We need to get to the end of the project alive, and then and then I can answer you.
Well, definitely we always bring forward the one project per time.
Yeah.
I mean, just in the very last part of the development of Assetto Corsa 1, we started to figure out the best Assetto Competizione. So, and we are not sized enough to move on 2 different projects on the same time. So it's already really crazy like that.
I can imagine there's no end, absolutely no end.
No, you can't.
Talking of Unreal 4 and ACC being of more focused content selection, does this mean you expect more detail to be available in ACC than over the original Assetto Corsa game. And as such, what can we expect in terms of physics engine? So things like tyre flex, chassis flex, that kind of thing. Or will it retain the same physics engine that we find within reason in ACC? Assetto Corsa 1.
A real engine is completely irrelevant in this question if we're talking about the physics. So the answer is yes. The answer and the reason why there is a possibility now to improve what we have from the physics point of view is because we only have to tackle a restricted number of cars and very similar. So we can concentrate on something. Assetto Corsa 1 started to become a problem, especially for me and for Aris. It started to become really frustrating to work with it because basically two reasons. One reason is that wherever you change in the physics, then the Aris poor guy needs to go there and apply it to 170 cars. And
yeah.
I mean,
it was huge.
I did it twice to him. I think I changed a tire. I did a big change in a tire model, and one time he went on holiday and he came back. I was, well, there's something new. You're gonna love this. And yeah,
you can hear the click of the trigger of the gun.
Yeah. So and the other reason is actually very, very difficult to change something when you have a game that is already out and there are people there, they're playing it and they get used to it. And whatever you change, there are people going to cry. There is a number of people that will say, oh, this is better. Inevitably, you have a lot of people who say, oh, Kunos, what did you do? You ruined everything. Yeah.
Not to mention the console, sorry.
Yeah.
Because all the stuff.
The console, of course, made also things a bit more complicated because everything you change, you need to do a submission to the console. Blah blah blah. It's complicated. So now it's like, right, we are free to do more experiments. Yeah, and we also have more stuff because we have the new physics guy Fernando that is doing amazing stuff on. Yeah. Tire flex, aerodynamic.
We have it. We have the tire flex.
Yeah, we have
the fourth thing after rain night.
Yeah. We have tire flex. Both, of course, we always had tire flex in the physics.
It's visible.
Now it's better, and it's also visible in the graphics. So, and it's something, yes, that now Aris, it doesn't feel like he wants to kill me every time. I changed something in the physics, and he also feels like should we do this? Should we do that? Should we do brake temperature influencing tire temperature? And so all that.
So it's a bit of like a sandbox for him now compared to restrictions.
It's like we are free. It's like it feels like we're back in those days when we started to work on Assetto Corsa and everything was exciting and new. Instead of the last period where frustration started to be a big part of our day.
Well, exactly. After all, we started to work on it in 11. So we worked on it for 7 years, almost 7 years. So
it's normal. We are really in the fun period of a project when you start and everything. You can break everything. Because you don't have to release in 1 month. Well, we are getting to the part where we cannot really break many stuff right now because early access is coming. So but we're still in a moment where if somebody has a very cool idea and it breaks everything, we go for it.
Yeah, which is quite exciting, I suppose, as a developer pushing boundaries.
It's the nice part of being a developer.
Yeah. Well, while we're on physics and mechanics of the game, force feedback, AC1, very, very popular, seen as one of the best feedback experiences in sim racing. Is the force feedback code going to be completely rewritten for ACC, or will it incorporate elements of it in the new game engine? What are we going to feel when we get in these cars in whenever early access comes?
As usual, our force feedback is a very thin layer on the top of the physics, so it's not really doing much. And at the moment, it's pretty much the same code. Is something that for us goes together with the physics engine, so we were able to bring it over from Assetto Corsa 1. We didn't say that this, but it's important to understand that the physics. So when I say physics, for us is both physics, artificial intelligence, and AI, where the only things that we were able to take from Assetto Corsa 1 and bring it over to Assetto Corsa Competizione. So we don't have to rewrite those parts. So the nice thing is that we can start from that as a foundation and improve on that. Everything else, we need to write it again. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Good luck with that. Right. It's confirmed for PC. It's obviously coming out on early access. Can we expect a possible console release further down the line, and maybe other platforms, Linux, Vulkan support? And also a question somebody's asked, people do still use Windows 7. Will it work on Windows 7?
Okay, one at a time. So console, we are not closing any door. So we are really working since from the beginning to make sure that whatever we do is potentially compatible with the console. Like, for example, with Assetto Corsa 1, we had a user interface that when we went to the console, we had to redo it completely because it was assuming a mouse. While in the console, you cannot do that. So, which doesn't mean that you cannot use the mouse if you have a PC. Of course, you will be able to use the mouse, but you need to design the user interface to be compatible both with the mouse and with a pad and a controller. So we are not closing any door when it comes to console. It will be just a matter of keep doing build for console and see how things are going. Because one nice thing about using a third-party engine is that you have a lot of work done for you, right? So the engine is offering a lot of features. But it's also true that then you're also limited in what you can do if the engine is not performing like you want. So it really comes down to if we can offer a good game on the console, then why not? I mean, we will be super happy. If we can't, then there's nothing we can do. So we are trying. We are trying, but until we are 100% sure that it's going to work, of course, our position is going to be who knows. Vulkan support, Unreal Engine is working on a Vulkan support. It's got an experimental support on the version that we're using right now, but we should be still in time to upgrade to next version. So next version should be probably the one that we commit to use for the entire project. And next one is going to have, should have a better full Vulkan support with it. So that means that, being a Unreal Engine, it will run in DirectX 11, DirectX 12, and Vulkan. You can choose which API to use. But it also means that, again, is not in our control. So let's put a scenario where we discover that if you enable Vulkan, something in the game breaks or doesn't work properly. So at that point, if we can disable Vulkan, probably we will for that reason. Yeah. If we cannot disable Vulkan, then our answer will have to be, there's nothing we can do about it because it's not our engine. So it's complicated. Finally, Linux, I don't think so. For the simple reason that nobody in the company uses it. And, even supporting it.
Would be not easy.
Very complicated. Very complicated. If you don't have, at the end, again, it comes down to the fact that our company is very small. So our support guys is also guys that work in development of the game. And if you follow our forums, you know who our support guys are. And so I don't, to be honest with you, I don't think Linux will make sense commercially even to hire a support guy dedicated to that at the moment, sadly. So I don't think so. Linux. I'm a bit more confident that is not going to happen.
Okay, cool. And just Windows 7 was the other one.
Windows 7. I mean, Windows 7. People freaked out because in order to put a page on Steam, we had to put a minimum requirements. And I just had a quick chat with Marco, and he asked, should we put Windows 7? And I said, Microsoft is dropping it. Why should we? But there is nothing in the software that will not work with Windows 7. So we probably will just, update the minimum requirements.
The same page, yeah.
Yeah, as long we will not do anything to break Windows 7. But if a real engine does it, there's nothing we can do about it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So panic over, people. Windows 7, we're okay.
You can keep your, old
Windows 95,
non-secure operating system.
Talking, while we're still on the technical side of things, Unreal 4 is renowned for a reasonably close association with NVIDIA GPUs, which has caused a bit of concern at RD for AMD users. Is there anything you've experienced during your development? Are you putting any extra focus on ensuring the game runs as well on AMD? Bear in mind, I'm not a technical person. People tell me this is the case. I have no evidence for myself.
I don't think it's the case. Isn't that the case, Marco? I don't think it's the case. I don't think
so.
Unreal Engine has any. Why would they? Why would they have a preference? I mean, it will be, not really smart on their part.
I don't know. I don't know if NVIDIA developed some particular tool or plugin to make advantage of their Real Engine, but in terms of performance, there is, I think, nothing that can make the users with AMD equipment worse than with NVIDIA. I mean, it's much more a matter of drivers. So,
especially in DirectX 11. Driver is such a huge part of the performance. So hopefully something like a Real Engine gets a lot of attention from driver developers in NVIDIA, AMD. So to be honest with you, I don't think it's a problem at all.
So you think fairly confident that performance will be similar across both?
Well, if one video card is more powerful than the other and is constantly showing better result in every other 3D application, there is no reason to expect that Assetto Corsa Competizione will be any different. So it's not that we can change what the hardware differences are. But, definitely there is nothing that will, is like, if that video card goes better than this one, it's not because there was work on this done and not on this one. It's just internet legends. They don't. It doesn't happen.
And also with AC1, some people asked us to improve the AMD support. That doesn't make sense because we can do nothing in good or in bad to make the support
the entire
better or worse.
Of having a graphic API is to abstract what graphic card is there, so you don't really know even which graphic card is running. There is no part in the code that says if it's an NVIDIA card, do this, and if it's not, do something else. It's just the same code for all the video cards. Okay. And in the studio we have both NVIDIA.
We have both. On equivalent GPU card, we have the same kind of performance, both on NVIDIA and AMD. So
no, I wouldn't worry.
Fab, thank you. Going back to the actual game itself now, you've mentioned before real-world drivers used AC1 for testing, training purposes. Obviously, you're based at a racetrack headquarters. Has this blank pan license helped put you in touch with more real drivers? Sort of what kind of input are they having during this crucial development phase?
Well, the interesting thing is that SRO wants us first to have the drivers involved in the game, and I will meet them and the team very soon at the Paul Ricard, and we already have some good partnerships, right, due to our long permanence in the Vallelunga racetrack. And thanks to SRO, this kind of cooperation with the racing teams will be even more effective than in the past. In terms of feedback, we have a rule in the company because each time we met the race engineers and the drivers, we always say that numbers never lie. So when we can talk and work together with the race engineers, you can work right on the data. While with the drivers, you have always a feedback that is very subjective. And is like in the real world. I mean, we have invited sometimes drivers of the same team so that they drive the same car also in the real world, and the faster always say, oh, the car is very well balanced, it's okay, good enough, and so on, and the slower always found something wrong with the car.
That is not realistic.
Yeah, also in the simulator. Actually, I had to tell you about a story we had in Vallelunga, because during a Formula 1 test with an old Formula 1, with a driver of Formula 1 Academy, he'd never been in Vallelunga before, so he paid us a visit the day before his test, and we allowed him, of course, to drive the simulator. And he drove for several laps, and at the end on the S, after the Tornantino, he lost the back and hit the wall and destroyed the car, of course, in the simulator. And he told us something like, oh, the car doesn't feel real because he had a weird behavior, is not so realistic. And we always say, okay, thanks for the advice, we take note, and we'll check about it. And the day after, when he drove the real car on the track, he crushed the car exactly in the same place, on the same wall, in the same way. So okay, we had the confirm black cat.
It was the black.
So. But yeah, we'll attend also some Blancpain events also this year, not just in Misano, but also after Misano. So we'll work directly with the teams and the drivers to let them to test the game so that we can take some advice. And then we have some professional driver we know since a lot of years. We have equipped him with a simulator at home, and we prefer to don't speak too much about that because it's not a testimonial. He's a real driver, very famous driver, and we are much more interested to know about his feedback than to show it on the internet. But with SRO, we'll enforce also the partnership we have with the drivers that we already know, and they already use AC1. So it will be also interesting to see which kind of difference they will find between AC1 and Competizione.
Just to finalize on the technical aspect, the problem with the drivers is that usually they give you feedback that is, like your simulator lives at this level, numbers and so on, and the kind of feedback is like over here, and is very difficult. They give feedback on understeer, oversteer, and there's something that can be fixed with a setup. So from a simulator developer point of view, is not a huge help. But as Marco said, talking to engineers, that's where the real thing happens, because you can go there and say, look, why the car is doing this, and you can get some very precise answer, because they just work mentally at the closer level. They don't develop simulation, but the level that they even interact and talk about is closer to what we are trying to do. There is nothing in the code that is talking about understeer, oversteer. So it's just the concept is too high level to actually be useful. So time, of course, if the driver is telling you this car should be doing 50 kilometers an hour faster here, then you have a huge problem. But hopefully we are past that.
That's never happened.
Hopefully, hopefully we are not there.
Well, interesting. This should lead on to the next question about interaction with teams and drivers and whatnot. Because you've got a license for Blancpain under the SRO, has that improved the access that you guys get to the information from the teams? So have you got a richer set of data to work from now for ACC than you may have had with some license agreements in AC1?
Well, in terms of CAD data and CAD data we receive from the manufacturers, they already provide us a very good set of CAD and information. What changes more is that we have a better access to the teams, since they have less concerns. Actually, they are not scared to share with us their data and telemetry because of the car manufacturers. Because through SRO, they know that we are not unknown people trying to solve their secret, but we are producing a game that will represent their cars, their drivers, their teams and liveries. And this changes a lot the way how they can approach to us.
Okay, excellent. On to the actual game itself now. I'm assuming it's the 2018 season that you'll be simulating. But regardless of that, if you could sort of confirm that, that'd be great. Do you expect to have the full complement of cars, teams, drivers, rule packages, and everything that goes around the Blancpain GT series?
Well, correctly, we are going to reproduce all the overall 18 season, and then we'll move also to 19 season as well.
Oh, great. Okay. So will you have all the cars and the teams and the drivers from 2018?
Everything.
Brilliant.
It's an official game. Also, all the rules and all the aspects that make the Blancpain series so characteristic, so that you can also join the championship or a race as a sprint driver or endurance driver and so on.
Okay, I mean, this is something that's always kind of frustrated me about the majority of racing sims. Do you expect to be able to have an offline race weekend, so the proper number of practice sessions? Like AC1's got a practice for a period of time, a quali and a race. Will I have Thursday practice, Friday practice?
Yeah, absolutely. All the qualifying session, and also the right time of the day to make the qualifying session, because with some races you have to make a qualifying session during the night, for instance. So if you want to go for the overall race weekend, you have also to proceed with the qualifying in the right time of the day.
Awesome. Excellent. Right, that's it for part one. Join us again next time, where we still talk to Stefano and Marco about ACC. We look at things like modability. We talk about what the license means to them, and plenty of other exciting things. So join us again at Race Department. Give us a like, subscribe on Twitch, on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We hope you enjoyed the show. And yeah, look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks very much.